right, perfect. So nice to see you guys. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Doing well. Hello.
Hi. So for both of you, something that's so interesting is that you were both playing characters that originated in a very popular book series. What was that process like in adapting those characters from the book and making them your own on screen?
Kick us off,
Do you want
Joe.
to take? Nerve-wracking for me.
Got it
I,
all.
I I
No
always get
pressure.
so nervous, especially with a book, because anyone that reads a novel has their own interpretation. And so for me personally, it was about trying to find the heart and soul of the character that I was playing, Joe Pickett, and then try and make it my own. In a collaborative sense with the Dowdles and everyone else that was working on the show. But I found that I was quite nervous.
I thought it was so much fun and very reassuring because there was just this wealth of material to pull from as I got into this character. And frankly, Mary Beth is not a huge departure for me. She's a mother, she's a partner, we have a lot in common. So when reading the books, I found it so enjoyable to just continue to bring all this information in and file it away in terms of the history of
Learn
the
more.
character and what she's experienced in her life. So I had a lot of fun with it. It was one of the most exciting things for me in this project.
I can imagine. And you really convey that on screen, which I have so much love for. In your own words, how would you describe Mary Beth? Who is she as a character to you?
Mary Beth is a fierce protector. She has a love that runs deep for her family, even those members of her family that she doesn't always see eye to eye with. She puts her kids above everything else, but not to a fault, not to a place where she's lost herself or what's important to her partnership and her marriage with Joe. She's a very smart person who has has had to adapt sort of a dry wit in this lifestyle, moving around with and supporting her husband while putting her own career to the side, but never away. And mostly she wants to see her family thrive, and she wants to see herself thrive in this chapter of her life.
Now, Michael, there are so many twists and turns in this series. I feel like every time you think it's going in one direction, it totally goes in a different one. What about it are you most excited for viewers to see?
Uh, the most exciting thing, I guess I can't speak for viewers, but I can speak for myself. I really love the connection between Mary Beth and Joe. It's a really solid foundation where you have harmonious balance, and the two complement each other. It's like two sides of a coin. And so for me, it's kind of a great portrayal about in balance or harmony within the structural dynamics of a family. So that's what excited me in what I've seen so far.
Your characters in this show sort of go on this journey. What does it really mean to be a good person? What does it mean to be a good parent, a good member of society? Learning about this and in going about this script, what do you think you learned most from your characters and from what they learned?
Well, I can't speak for Michael, but for Mary Beth's journey, I think that those things are constantly moving targets. And to parent and to partner is to be open to reevaluating what the situation calls for on a moment to moment basis, and knowing that the true north the true north is staying in a space of honesty and protection of the people that you love the most.
Yeah, I think it comes back to truth, being honest to yourself first and foremost, and then being comfortable enough to have those honest conversations. Like for me, I look at Joe as the type of person that doesn't really show his cards too much unless he's in that comfortable environment with his family. You really get to see the truth in that character of Joe, whereas usually, he sort of, stands in the background. So he's unassuming and always, taken for granted, I guess, not for want of a better explanation of it. Yeah.
Thanks, Sydney. As I always say, because it's true, it's a team of professionals.
And they did a brilliant job.
I think so too. I'm amazed.
You are gorgeous. So much love. So in the series, you star as Missy, the mother of Mary Beth. How would you describe her in your own words? Who is she in your eyes?
Missy is as a high maintenance woman who started out from a low place in life. And she has worked her way up to living at a very privileged level, but she's paying the price because her choices aren't sustainable. And we find her with everything falling apart, and she has moved in with Missy and Joe, sleeping on the couch and just grumpy about where she is in life, and nothing meets her standards, but she does love her daughter and has great respect for the inherent qualities her daughter. She's really proud of that. She loves her granddaughters, even though she won't let them call her grandma. They have to call her by her first name, Missy. So she's a bundle of contradictions.
I love that. I love a bundle of contradictions. That's such an interesting way to put it. Now, what was it like in playing a character originally written for a book series? Do you think your version of Missy differs from the one that was written in the book, or do you think they're similar?
Well, one thing I can tell you right off the bat is Missy, as described by C.J. Box, who conceived her, and he did have a role model in mind. That's all I'm going to say. But she was raven-haired in the books. I'm not. I could be if they needed, but Julianna Guill and I, who play mother and daughter, look so much alike that we have chosen to stay with my natural coloring and her natural coloring. So that's a big difference. Other than that, Sharon, am a pretty low maintenance gal, but my Missy takes absolute cues and inspiration and defers to whatever's in the book because it makes sense.
You make it make sense in so many brilliant ways. Now, this is a project that differs from a lot of different projects that you've done. It definitely has a lot of contrast to your previous work. What's the process like in just getting into this character, and what did you find the most challenging about it?
I remember that the first scene that I read, because I auditioned for this, it was a scene where she's just being a baby, just a baby. And that's not my nature. I'm not a whiner. I'm not a crier. So I had to find my way in. And what I did is I used a pillow. I had my drink in my hand and a pillow in the other, and just held on to it like a kid holds onto a baby doll in a bottle. And that for me was sort of a cue, is that she needs these things to be comforted. That's not my personality. But I've been around long enough as an actor to know that if I can find those kind of those external props, that I'm going to have a good way in. So what was the biggest challenge? I don't know. I think being in Canada where we shot, I love Canada and I loved where we were. It's gorgeous. It's Calgary. It's the Rockies, but we couldn't come home. We couldn't travel across the border. So that was the hardest thing, I think. And now, now that has changed, I hope we get to go back to Canada because it'll be easier to come back and forth. And I'm a big fan of the Rockies, and that's where we were.
That's so nice to hear. Now, Missy is obviously a person with a complicated past. She has a lot going on. Do you think that we as viewers should be sympathetic towards her because of her circumstances, or do you think we should kind of hold her for what she is?
I think Missy represents a lot of women who grew up when I grew up, where certain doors were open, certain perceptions and inspirations of how to be independent did exist, but there were still a lot of glass ceilings, and the culture that she grew up in, which was, the Southwest and the West, didn't necessarily provide for her to get an education and be independent. And we need to recognize that what young women have at their fingertips now, they have different pressures than Missy did, but they can expect the world to have more equity. They know how to fight for more equity. Missy's generation didn't necessarily have that. Some women took it in stride and had the ability, but a lot of them didn't. So I think it's important to look at her through that lens.
So to start us out, you play Nate, who is a former special ops soldier. He's got a lot of layers to him. He's a very in-depth and very interesting character. How would you describe him in your own words? Who is he in your eyes?
Nate is a lovable teddy bear that is a badass. But no, Nate simply is a simple man at heart, dealing with complex issues and doing his best to overcome and seemingly insurmountable odds. And he has only one of his major tools, which is his heart, to navigate through each of those issues.
What do you think that viewers can learn from Nate as a character?
Truth, staying true to self, staying open, connecting to self and connecting to nature, and using all of those things to find peace and serenity, and whatever means whatever that means to them.
That is such a brilliant, beautiful, insightful take. I love that so much. Nate, much like all the other characters in this series, was adapted from a book series. What about that process of adapting this character from the book onto the screen to play as your own? What was that process like?
Oh, it was an amazing process. It was like absolutely fun. Let me tell you, because I got the script, right? Just reading the character, I fell in love with the character. And then I got to connect with the creators. I had no idea about CJ Box. Never read his books, never knew anything about it. But then I fell in love with John and Drew, the creators of it. And I was like, wow, what is this? And then that led me to the world of CJ Box and all of these amazing #1 best-selling books that he had in that entire world, and all the complex characters and full, rich characters that was there. And I just loved every bit of that process of diving into the world.
Now, this is a very intense project with a lot of twists and turns, a lot going on. What would you say that you've learned most from it?
I've learned to trust the process, to stay open, trust myself personally, and then trust the process of the team, and know what our overall mission and goal was, and just play my role, play each of us have to play our role and go for it.
You definitely do, which is so amazing, so admirable. Now, what about Joe Pickett, the series as a whole, are you most excited for viewers to see?
Everything and everybody. Everything and everybody, absolutely. Because once they capture the first episode, they're going to be all in. This is a binge-worthy series. Absolutely. So on December 6th, when they see those opening credits, get ready for a ride.
Now, do you think that your version of Nate is different or similar to the version of the Nate that we see in the book series?
Well, I did my best to stay true to the essence of who Nate was created to be by CJ Box, as well as the character created by John and Drew. But I brought absolutely my own truth, my own authenticity, because the way the character is written in the book is not me. So far from me. And I think that difference is what is the brilliance, is where the magic lies. So I'm excited for the viewers and the fans that follow the book series. I'm excited for their take on this character.
Tell me about that process on set.
Oh, it's one big family. I mean, we would hang out when we had a chance, because this was COVID, right? And we were up in beautiful Calgary, Canada. But when we had an opportunity to hang out, we would have dinner together. We would go to festivals together. We would talk on the phone, particularly Michael Dorman and I mean, we really hit it off. We just got this kindred spirit type of this situation going on. And we were all one big happy family.
I love that. That's always so nice to hear. Now, what about this project did you find most challenging and most rewarding?
The most challenging was, honestly, was the filming in particular locations, because this was brand new to me. I'm no stranger to nature, but filming in nature like that with all of the other elements that was coming at me was a challenge, but an exciting, welcoming challenge.